Is poetry part of a curriculum? The student body is diverse. Our class is comprising of approximately 80 students from different towns and many cultural backgrounds. The cultural diversity produces many students who are English language learners, and as a result, a variety of language competencies exists within each class. For example, some students speak and write English fluently but struggle with reading comprehension. Others comprehend what they read, although they have difficulty with choice of words and pronunciation as evidence in their speech. So, poetry, with its rhythmic style, seems to be a great stimulant for language acquisition and development. I have observed that many students who have difficulty engaging in sustained reading of a novel show more interest when reading poetry. The fact is that poems are generally shorter. Consequently, students are able to complete reading a piece at one sitting and maintain enough interest so that they will even read some poems repeatedly. In addition, students may more readily retain the content of specific concepts written in a poetic form, and for this reason, poetry is an integrated or integral part of teaching. So, linking poetry with curricular themes, there are some objectives here. The first objective is to motivate English language learners and reluctant readers. With this number one objective, there are ways to motivate reluctant readers to read. Actually, there are 6 ways to motivate reluctant readers to read. First is building their self-efficacy towards reading. Number 2 is give them a choice. Number 3 is make it real. Number 4, make it relevant. 5 is plan for elements that require students to take a stand or position. And the last one is read aloud every day. So for the second objective, which is to teach diction, there are I have 8 ways to teach your child to use a dictionary. First is choose the right dictionary to your child's age. Second is read with a dictionary at hand. 3, look up for spellings. Number 4, compile a dictionary scavenger hunt. Number 5, make their own dictionary. 6, play word games. Number 7, look up their weekly spellings. And the last one is improve their creative writing. So for the third objective, to guide students in creating factual poems using concepts from textbooks, there are 5 strategies to get students started writing poetry. First is writing your own poems. 2 is teach diverse poets and poems you love. Number 3 is help students identify specific characteristics of poems they like. And 4, encourage students constantly to be specific. And the last one is encourage students to put themselves into their poems. So for the number 4 objectives, to improve students' abilities to read and write. Here I have some tips to help students build better reading skills, like annotate and highlight text, personalize the content, practice problem solving skills, incorporate some more senses, understand common themes, set reading goals, read the portions, and let students guide their reading. For the fifth objective, There are strategies for enhancing higher order thinking, like take the mystery away, teach the concept of concepts, name key concepts, categorize concepts, tell and show, and move from concrete to abstract and back, teach steps for learning concepts, and then go for basic to sophisticated. For the sixth objective, which is to help students create imagery from words and use words to create imagery. Here is on how to teach visual imagery. Begin reading, pause after a few sentences or paragraphs that contain good descriptive information. And then share the image you've created in your mind and talk about which words from the book help you draw your picture. Your picture can relate to the setting, the characters, or the actions. By doing this, you are modeling the kind of picture making you want your child to do. So the next one is talk about how these pictures help you understand what's happening in the story. And then continue reading, pause again, and share the new image you created. Then ask your child to share what he sees, hears, tastes, smells, and feels. Ask what words help him create the mental image and emotions. And by doing this, you are providing your child with practice with the new skill. And then, if it seems that your images are identical, which is probably not, this is a great time to talk about why your images might be different. Perhaps your child went on a school field trip or had a school assembly that changed the way they created a picture in their mind. Or perhaps experiences you've had as an adult influence what it drew. These differences are important to understand and respect. And then read the longer portion of text and continue the sharing process. Once this is a familiar skill, encourage your child to use mental imagery once she is reading by herself. You can feel confident that these mental pictures will help your child understand the story in an important way. And for the last objective, to integrate poetry with drama. Both poetry and drama are considered literary genres. Poetry is written form that expresses emotions, observations, and feelings through rhythmic cadence or a modulation or inflection of the voice. It is the combination of cadence and words that draws the reader or listener. While in drama, in drama by contrast presents the actions and words of a character on the stage. To integrate poetry with drama after the poem is read aloud, the class discusses, and students then listen again as the teacher rereads the poem. In the next step, the students read the poem chorally and then take turns reading it aloud individually. And here I have some 6 ways to teach poetry in a classroom. First is write about a question. For just 3 or 4 minutes, the students don't know what a question is. One of the poet addresses in the poems we're about to read. For instance, what's one thing you've seen in your life or unview with what's beautiful, so staggering that you will still can picture in your mind? Write about that for 3 times. Put the free writing aside for now. Then for the second way, read a poem as someone reads it aloud. Through this, you will understand what it is. What is the poem is all about, little by little. And then read the poem again. This time, marking any striking phrases or words. Compare notes and take note of poetic devices and meanings. And for the fourth one is look at the chunked up text structure and mark up your own copies of the poem in the same way. For the fifth one, read the poem one more time. This time, noticing how the words follow the structure. And for the last one, write your own poem. The students have their own thoughts from the free writing. The poem full of devices and poet used, and the text structure. They may use those or any parts of those, and in about 10 minutes, see what they can create. Okay, and poetry and cultural diversity. So, what is cultural diversity and why is it important? The things you do and the practices you were taught inform who you become. Culture is a broad term that encompasses beliefs, values, norms, behaviors, and overall can be understood as our way of being. When you go out into the world, you will come into contact with people from different backgrounds and walks of life. It's a good rule for Tom to honor cultural diversity with your actions. So, what is cultural diversity and why does it matter? Let's get into the details of how cultural diversity can take shape in professional settings within educational institutions and overall in most aspects of life. So, cultural diversity is synonymous with multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is defined by the Encyclopedia Britannica as the view that cultures, races, and ethnicities, particularly those of minority groups, deserve special acknowledgement of their differences within a dominant political culture. So, the importance of cultural diversity can be interpreted on the basis of these related actions. First is recognizing that there is a large amount of culture that exists. Second is respecting each other's differences, acknowledging that all cultural expressions are valid, valuing what cultures have to bring to the table, empowering diverse groups to contribute, and celebrating differences, not just tolerating them. So, what are some examples of cultural diversity? Cultural diversity looks like this. For example, in a workplace, having a multilingual team, having a diverse range of ages working together, and having policies that are vocally against discrimination, etc. And another example is in a school setting, having students from all over the nation will be together and being accepting of all religious practices and traditions that students partake in, supporting students to share their culture with one another and so on. So let us know the importance of cultural diversity in education. Cultural uh, diversity is important in every settings in life, but it can be even more pivotal when it happens with education. Students around the world have the right to equal access of quality education, and as such, there are many upsides that comes along with it when institutions believe in the power of diversity. So, cultural diversity in education helps to support deep learning. Learning happens within the curriculum and outside of it. With a diverse students population, students have the privilege of gaining more understanding about people and backgrounds from all over. This also contributes to diversity of thought and perspectives that make learning more interesting and dynamic. Confidence and growth. When students participate with people from varied cultures, it provides them with more confidence in dealing with things outside of their comfort zones. It can build strength of character, pride, and confidence. Preparation for the future. If a workplace has done the necessary work, it bound to the culturally diverse. Attending a culturally diverse institute of education will prepare students to their future in a workplace. And then, more empathy. Interacting with people who have diverse practices, beliefs, life experiences, and culture promotes empathy. While you can never fully understand someone's life without being them, so you can learn, listen, and understand. So the benefits of cultural diversity. The world is naturally multicultural. Approaching cultural diversity with a mindset and actions that embrace the fact leads to many benefits like compassion, communication, and understanding of differences leads to increased compassion instead of judgment. Innovation, varied perspectives, and lens of looking of the world lend to innovative thinking. And then the productivity. People who come together and bring their own style of working together tend to support more productive team. New opportunities. The diversity opens the door to new opportunities and the blending of ideas which would otherwise have been homogeneous. And then the problem solving. Challenges are layered, so having people with different backgrounds can lead to better problem solving with richness of opinions. So, how to support cultural diversity? Individuals and institutions alike have the agency to support cultural diversity. If you're unsure how you can take actions to do so, consider these ideas. Interact with people outside of your culture. Be open minded to listen and let go of judgment. If you see anyone who is being culturally insensitive, speak out against it. Accept the differences or accept that differences are beneficial and not harmful. Do not force your belief on people with opposing views. Advocate to hire people or work with people who are not within the same culture. And travel the world as much as you can to take part in cultures and understand them from the source. So read literature and learn from different cultures. Absorb media and art from around the world. And learn a new language and communicate in a friend's native language rather than your own. So, why is poetry important in our world today? If you turn on the TV, you can probably see why. And of course, it mostly ratings war that portrays the world we live in today as ugly, chaotic, violent, and without mercy. So poetry, if we let it and embrace it, it can offer us a way to empathize with one another in its immediacy. Poetry is a counselor, having to understand one another, leading us away from hate to love, from violence to mercy and pity. Poetry is a bridge, an immediate path to becoming better people and being the change in the world. Creating a world less about fearing each other down and apart and more about coming together, helping us to realize that we're not as different as we think, and despite our differences, we are not alone in our grief, pain, joy, or happiness. Reading and writing poetry is the greater good whose benefits are the rebuilding and forging a word corrected, connected, and a caring word, I should say. So, um, this is the end of my report. My name is Jerry D. Fajardo. Thank you so much.